So you mentioned with Prezi that that's something that you find useful for presenting at conferences, but that you sort of keep off the table for students, at least at the freshman level. What is it that you find particularly useful about Prezi as a presentation tool?
We enjoy using Prezi at conferences like 4Cs because it offers more creative movement.
Prezi lets you perform that. And it also lets you do things at scale, or as I like to call it, it's a system of Russian nesting dolls, right? You have an idea that you move inside of to look at another set of ideas, you move inside. So you have rhetoric, and you move into ethos, pathos, and logos, and then you move into ethos as identity and credibility and subjectivity, and you can move into subjectivity as being the postmodern subject versus the modern subject, right? Or the lack thereof. So it lets you sort of move up and down the scale readily, right? So what that system is doing is not only allowing for movement as a transitional effect, allowing for a performance of relationality in terms of like distance or space or timing, but also matters of scale. Truth be told, you can do these things in PowerPoint. It's an animator's technique, right? You can do these things in text. You can do these things in audio and video. It's really a matter of how one is able to express and represent those ideas. Where something like Prezi differs is that it foregrounds space and scale, or movement in space and scale, as opposed to other things like subordination of ideas, linear flow, right? Structural organization, like tree diagrams, right? Or in the case of, let's say, video, like sequential imagery, right? And sound correlations, right? So I really do think that something that's fundamental to something like Prezi is that it emphasizes a different ordering principle than something like PowerPoint, right? Which PowerPoint starts as an animator's tool and gets co-opted into the worst business tool in the history of mankind, right? Which is to say, it becomes a tool by which we represent a series of bullets. It becomes an outliner's tool. If that's the case, you can just hand out the outline, right?
I also want to use the PowerPoint sometimes if I've got theoretical ideas or particular quotes that I want people to have time to digest, then I'm going to have that as well. I try not to do PowerPoint karaoke, where I'm just reading exactly what's on the slide as we're going through, unless, of course, I'm reading a quotation from a student that I've done research with.
But what I try to do with the images is to get, and this works with the concepts as well, is to see how well they resonate with each other.